Okay, are you fixed? Yes, we're all good. All right. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer, and today I have with me Jim Davidsaver from Emergency Management, as well as Lonnie Berklin from Transportation and Utilities with the City of Lincoln. And today we're going to kick off this press conference with Jim giving an update on the weather. Jim?
Currently, Lincoln and Lancaster County is in a flood warning, which means that flooding is occurring or it is imminent. So people who travel in areas that are populated by small streams and that are prone to flooding need to ensure to proceed with due caution. Regarding the forecast looking forward, the Storm Prediction Center has categories that it lists severe weather in. Currently, Lincoln and northern Lancaster County are in the slight category, and that's the number 2 on a 1 to 5 scale from least to worst. Southern Lancaster County is in the enhanced range. The Weather Service hosted a conference call at 10:30 this morning to give the latest forecast details. At that time, they anticipated severe weather could move into southeast Nebraska, including Lincoln and Lancaster County, anytime this afternoon. So starting at about 3 p.m. and running as late until midnight, we are in a threat of severe weather. When it comes to that, the Emergency Operations Center will be activated during that time to constantly monitor the conditions. We will have representatives from several county and city departments there, all working together to monitor the weather so that we can push that information out, not only to them and the first responders, but the general public. Pam Dingman from the County Engineer and Lonnie Berklin from Lincoln Transportation and Utilities are here to speak specifically to some of the infrastructure issues.
Thank you, Jim. So at some time this morning, we started experiencing the water increasing dramatically in many of the Salt Creek corridors. At this time, Salt Creek is in flood stage at Roca and then as well as at Greenwood. And what that really means is that through our county, we are experiencing some very high water levels. In addition to that, we also have Stevens Creek coming in very high, and we have some low-level flooding in the Stevens Creek area. That's kind of an area that Transportation Utilities and I share a number of concerns on, and we're hoping that that water can go down. Sadly, today in the county, we have had a number of dramatic pipe culvert failures, and this is really the long-term effects of complete saturation, clear back to November, where we just continue to get these rains and we just can't get our soils dried out. And so at this time, we have additional pipe culvert failures on Northwest 148th Street in between Mill and Waverly Road, on Olive Creek just west of 148th Street, and on Olive Creek just east of Southwest 40th Street. Since the flooding of this spring, we now have 62 scour critical bridges. The water levels are currently too high for us to do full inspection of those structures. However, we do currently have staff out in the county monitoring the conditions of these structures, and as soon as the water goes down so we can do full inspections of them, we will be out to do that. Some of our road closures we currently have right now because of the high water are Saltillo between Highway 77 and 27th Street is a really traditional low area for us that gets a lot of water. 38th Street, just south of Roy Street in Roca, has a large amount of water flowing over it. And Southwest 2nd Street, south of Highway 33 to Hickman, there's probably about 300 or 400 feet of water going over the road in that location. We want to remind everybody, I heard someone tell me again this morning that I just drive through the water and it's okay. Given the pipe failures we're having, there may be water over the road and there may not be road under that water anymore. And that remains our primary concern. If there's water over the road, even if you've driven through it for your lifetime, please don't do it today or this summer. We have some very unstable conditions, and it's a concern out there in the county. We're fortunate no one has been hurt yet, but we will continue to be vigilant to maintain the safety and integrity of our system. Lonnie?
Good afternoon, Lonnie Berkland, Assistant Director of Transportation with the City of Lincoln Transportation and Utilities Department. Probably just reiterate what Pam has indicated. In these types of situations, our first priority, of course, is safety for all modes of transportation on our network. We try to adopt a threefold approach in these instances with inclement weather, and that's really proactive monitoring, followed by adjusting in our staffing and preparing our equipment and materials, and finally just being able to be nimble and provide quick response to any changing conditions or things that are developing if streets become unsafe with water over the roadway surface. Our maintenance operations division has a pretty robust weather forecasting service. We stay pretty tied to those data points and that information flow, as well as with obviously Lincoln Lancaster County Emergency Operations Center and our county engineer. We look at evaluating our overnight staffing. We're doing that now. We will have folks both in our traffic management center and on call as needed for the EOC and within the field as well. Some of that work that's ongoing right now, Pam mentioned Saltillo Road. That's an area down in the southwestern part of the city where we do kind of overlap our services. We've got barricades set up from about 14th Street over to the other side near 27th Street. I think we did have a southbound lane closure up along 84th Street between Havelock and Fletcher that I've been told is just actually reopened. So we're hoping water will stay off of that for the PM commute, but that's another area where folks should be wary of water over the surface. And again, we've got additional staff and contractors ready to go with barricading. We've deployed some barricades around the city at some of our typical hotspot locations in preparation should we get some more rainfall throughout the night. Again, in following up what you've heard already, please heed the advice of the safety professionals. If there's water over the surface of a street or a rural roadway, please don't drive through it. A lot of times that water can be at a depth that can carry a vehicle or at a minimum cause hydroplaning. And just be assured we're going to continue to monitor things as you've heard throughout the rest of tonight and into tomorrow. If you're looking for updated information on street closures, blockages due to that flooded water on a roadway, whether it's within the city or across the county, we do have a great website source. We got wonderful city county GIS employees. I see Jeff McReynolds here, but certainly a whole team that's continually updating those maps and that information. If you go to lincoln.ne.gov and simply click on the street closures list, you'll see the typical list of city and county construction projects, but now also those areas that are flooded. So I'll turn it back over to Pam and Jim if there's any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions this afternoon?
Pam, can you go over kind of the condition that you're seeing in the soil around these pipes out in the county?
Right. So engineers have what we call the liquid limit of the soil, and we're really in a condition now where the liquid limit has been met on the soil around many of these structures, and that's really the limit at which the soil turns into a liquid. In the case of the pipe failures today, what happens is there's enough water around the pipe for a long enough period of time that the water starts going outside of the pipe instead of inside the pipe, and that's what starts pipe failures on a large scale. And so that's what we're experiencing today at many locations in the county. I think there'll probably be more pipe failures. And what I want to emphasize to the public is if you see something that looks like the edge of the road sloughing off, please call us. We, of course, are out there inspecting these continuously today. Depending on severe weather, we may have to pull our people in. But these are not safe conditions. And so when we are finding pipes like this, we are closing the road.
Did you have people overnight or through the morning, or when did the evaluations for these locations start?
So Lancaster County Engineering, unlike the city, does not have staff on 24/7. We do get calls from the answering service in the night, which on an emergency basis we do address. We started becoming aware of a number of water over the road issues and water rising issues at about 4 a.m. this morning. I think that we'll continue to have those conditions probably for the next 24 hours, and we just need to be hyper vigilant if you're out in the public or if you're out on the county roads.
In some of those rural areas, are there any imminent threat to residential areas? I know you mentioned across the roadways, but are people that could be, or should be concerned for flooding near their homes?
So, we're fortunate enough in Lancaster County that we haven't built homes in most of the floodplains for a very long time. What I would recommend is that citizens, if you're close to a waterway, that you remain hyper vigilant and you watch that water surface. The USGS website, usgs.gov, has water surface information from the river gauges that is updated every hour. You can go on the internet and actually get text messages so that you can follow the rising water. Other questions? All right, thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming this afternoon. If you have any follow-up questions, please let me know.